Hey kids, welcome to the first ever panel talk discussion here on Potty Talk. It is the end of 2016 and by golly, what a year that belongs in the bathroom that was. We have a group here, we have a panel guest. I've never done this on Potty Talk before, so if you are epileptic, you might want to turn off the video right now. We have a panel of guests here. Sitting over here is Gina Morong. Wait, Gina. This is her bathroom we're in, by the way, so thank you for letting us take this crap on 2016 here in your bathroom. Here we have Kyle Hanson. Kyle, hello.
Ew.
And we have here Moose Epperson, who was also my arch rival this past year. We've made peace. We promise not to fight. It's okay. It's good.
Yeah. Well, there's not enough room in here to fight anyway.
No,
So.
it would be very messy if it did. Be very Jerry Springer. Okay.
Yes.
So, we were talking about 2016, doing the year in review, craptacular special here. A lot of crap went down here in 2016. Probably the biggest thing that happened in 2016 is, of course, the election. It went through multiple phases. We started off with, Bernie, all the hype on that, and then that kind of got flushed, and it became Hillary and Trump, and Hillary got flushed, and now we're down to Trump, and boy, we wish we could flush that. So, what's your thoughts on the election? Kyle, give it a shot.
Oh, wow. It's so many fun thoughts about the election that's like you can't decide if like you're just incredibly amazed by everything that went down for how good or bad it was. It's kind of like if you were watching like someone captain the Titanic and they saw the iceberg and were just like, fuck it, and you played a good old game of American Chicken right into it. And then you already had thrown Leonardo DiCaprio off board. I think that'd probably be my basic election.
As if Billy Zane had been
the captain.
the good character in Titanic.
If I can't have you, no one can
Just give
have
this
you.
rich man everything he wants.
Well, of course.
He's rich.
That's what they do.
He doesn't need talent. He's rich. And
Well,
he's
of
not even
course.
that rich, but he's kind of rich.
Nice mustache.
He says he's rich.
Nice
Yeah.
mustache. You gotta admit that. That was a pretty cool mustache.
And like, instead of women and children, Goldman Sachs will get the lifeboats. Exxon Mobil, you get the powerboat. It's like leave Irish people downstairs.
Women and children, here's his door to float on. Good luck.
There's not enough room for everyone.
No, of course not. Of
Oh,
course
hello,
not.
and hopefully we have a guest speaker. Oh, what were your thoughts on the 2016 election? Good answer. That sums it up right there.
Yep.
Moose, what do you think? What do you thought of this past ridiculous year?
Oh man, well the election, it just still boggles the mind that as important as that election was, and everywhere you went, everybody you talked to, everybody had an opinion. I mean, it didn't matter what side they were on. Everybody had an opinion, and they were more than willing to share it with you. Tell you exactly what was wrong with the world and who needed to be in office and why all the other people shouldn't be in office. Everybody had an opinion. And yet, so few people actually turned out to vote. It's just absolutely insane. It's so important, it's so important, it's so important. But I got something better to do on Tuesday. I'm like, it's amazing. We're stuck with a situation where, there was a disconnect and we didn't realize what was actually going on and let this guy walk into office. And we were talking earlier, and that was probably far funnier than anything we're going to get on film, but we were talking earlier about how it was a situation that, and you brought that up, that anybody, if enough people out there, all the people who said that they couldn't vote for Trump or Hillary had put their vote behind a third-party candidate, this wouldn't be the situation. I mean, we could have had a third-party candidate as president. We've reached right. We've reached a point in history where that's, that if enough people that are saying, I don't want to vote for either of these two mainstream candidates, if they all put their support behind a third-party candidate, it would have changed the complexion of everything today, and the complexion would not be orange.
It might have been like an off blue, but
Yes. I mean, it might not have been perfect.
But off blue's good, not everybody wants that.
Of course,
Jill Stein has her issues.
Something to work with.
Right, it's like that's my favorite part. I think about the But the third party candidates were just like, oh, right, it's not Hillary or Trump. And then just Jill Stein would be like, yeah, but vaccinations gave my dog autism. Like,
Crystals will cure your cancer.
cancer.
Well, yeah.
Ugh.
And then,
And I don't know why Ben Carson didn't get on board with that, you know? He had the whole pyramid thing going on, you know?
he doesn't, Ben Carson doesn't know what the problem is, he just knows that he can surgically remove it.
Yes, absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
like, I don't know what it is, but if I do lobotomize most world leaders, they won't care.
Well, and I don't know, I just get this impression with Ben Carson that he probably performs all of his surgeries in his sleep. I don't think there's anything there. I think
He's like,
I don't think he's ever been awake during the entire.
no, he's just out there, you know. It's like if there was to be an alien invasion where they decided to take over the world by swapping out bodies of our world leaders, Ben Carson would be that guy. You know, he just seems so not here, you know.
I think he's one of the cases where he's kind of like the Forrest Gump of candidates, where Forrest Gump was good at one thing only, and that was run. Right, where he can run like a son of a
And
bitch.
ping pong.
In ping pong.
Fantastic ping pong. That was.
Ben Carson's one good thing, he can do brain surgeries apparently. Like a son of a bitch. Anything else though?
his state's
Bitten by a
Jenny!
radioactive
Jenny!
brain.
His state Republican Party was like, you should run for president. Okay. And then I want to know who was the staffer that told him to like stop wearing his glasses, because then he's just in the debate like, thank you, Anderson. It was like that was actually Bill O'Reilly that asked the question. Oh.
It's a wonderful night in Vegas. We're in Colorado.
Well, that would explain the look too.
I mean, and it's not that former potential and previous leaders haven't had a good, terrible grasp of the English language. Reagan once said, what would this country be without this great land of ours? It was like, you're not wrong. Land is important to have land. And we appreciate that.
It wouldn't
problem
physically
is-
be America without America, so it makes sense.
I mean, Robin Williams once compared Ronald Reagan to a animatronic character at Pirates of the Caribbean. You were just like, oh, it's kind of hokey and adorable, but at the same time, I'm waiting for it to break down at any minute. And that's probably one of the most insightful things I've heard said about Ronald Reagan by anyone, let alone Robin Williams. It's like the subject of the economy is.
What? And just sparks off line.
He's a great communicator, man.
Gina, what's your thoughts of the whole 2016 election foobar? Nonsense.
I just wanted to elect my pot-smoking grandpa that listens to Zeppelin. That was Bernie Sanders for me, your grandpa that never gave a shit that you were gay or anything. He was like,
Here, look, I've had this since 1972.
and then with Hillary, I'd much rather elect my grandmother that never showed me any affection than my rich, yacht-owning, abusive stepfather. So I was all ready to go for her. I did vote for her, and I actually thought about it literally up until I walked into the booth.
Yeah.
Because I was like, not Trump, but I really wanted to vote for Bernie. But I was like, he told me not to. That's what I told Kyle
I don't want to disagree.
I told so many people that. I was like, I want to vote for Bernie, but Bernie said it's not the time for a protest vote.
Bernie would be disappointed.
I don't want him to be disappointed in me.
He'll get that, I'm not mad at you, but I'm disappointed. Look,
Yeah,
that's
that's far worse.
It's like, scratching the bumper on the car,
Yeah.
You gotta wonder what was going through the
Gina.
going through the Democratic Party's mind when they were like, okay, we've got this guy that polls he polls way ahead of Donald Trump. Everybody likes him, but he is only liked by the majority of people in the country, and the single largest demographic of voters, which is white people at 80%. Let's not elect the guy that represents the most people broadly. Let's not do that.
No. It's time for a little elitism.
It's time.
just a touch.
How can we not have someone who moved to New York 18 months before they went into office? That is the person that we want to go to our party in the most controversial election. It's like, I don't know why people don't like her. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter. Most of them don't.
They don't like her because she's unlikable.
It's like,
I mean, we don't really have to analyze it much more than that. You know,
It's like
there are some people you want to just punch in the face.
Right.
She's one of those.
It's like,
You know, she's accomplished a lot,
yeah,
but she's one of those people that just, you know, there's an old phrase, you know, put your teeth on edge. That's what Hillary does to people.
Right.
You know, and she's accomplished a bunch. She's, you know, I'm not knocking any of that. And in an election where it was a choice between the lesser of two evils,
she was
the lesser of the two evils. At least she has some background in politics. Honestly,
That's one of the things I think frustrated me from comments that I heard from other people about this on the Hillary and Trump thing. Well, they're both just as bad. Yeah, one's a little bit more way down here in the gutter than.
I'm not going to
It's
say
like-
who it is.
It's like being like, the mouse in my kitchen is equally as offensive and ignorant as Hitler.
It's like, right. It's like,
Not really though.
I had somebody compare it to like, it's like voting for Hitler or Stalin. I'm like, yeah, those two guys did kill a lot of people. He's like, but is it not more like the difference between like Mussolini and a house cat? Like,
I like that.
You know, like the house cat, sure, it'll scratch you a little bit, but Mussolini will just give you over to the Germans. Like, and in this case, the Russians apparently. But hey.
Yeah, so the Russians finally elected their first American president. Which
I'm just
that's
saying,
a big historical
if the
thing.
price of vodka doesn't go down after this, I'm gonna be really fucking pissed. Like, you know, it's like we invaded Iraq. Gas will be cheaper. It wasn't, but that was a novel thought. It's like, it turns out all that oil was owned by the Chinese. It's like, oh, didn't see that one coming. Something you could have got off Wikipedia, like, or anywhere. But yeah, what a great election.
I feel like, you know, going back to the Bernie thing, I feel like this helped for him this election year. It was like the first Rocky movie. He went the distance, but he didn't win anything at the end. It's just kind of like, but he got a lot of support from.
Well, the problem is he's not going to live long enough to make a comeback.
To make Rocky 2.
There is no Bernie 2 here, unfortunately.
I think he will.
We'll go for
I don't know. Well,
He still goes
I think we.
Christ, I guess we still have Bob Dole, so I guess Bernie could
haven't
keep
you
going.
seen all the adorable Bernie running memes?
He's like, I
No,
think,
I
Where he's
haven't.
just running places with his pile of papers. He's like the
With his
disgruntled scientist that nobody listens to in all the horror movies.
like
He's like,
Doc
I've been
Brown."
trying to tell you that this isn't working. And then he's always dropping his paperwork, and they're like, you can't take him seriously, he's crazy.
John McCain's helping
Yeah,
him
you
put
crazy old
put
man.
his papers back together. Like, I'm sorry. It's like, I think there should have been cutscenes this entire election of just John McCain like going, It's like I was a POW for 8 years for Donald Trump to get elected.
Well, that's because you weren't a good American. You got caught.
Right.
You weren't a good soldier. You got caught.
He's like,
Donald Trump was not a good soldier because it was too hard.
Don't tell a soldier that they didn't do their job because they were a POW. Don't do that! Oh, for the love of Christ! I mean, they had that watch
And that
in
did-
their ass. No, wait a minute. That's a
Take
different
bullshit,
vision. Sorry.
bullshit. Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Which I would have
Christopher
took
Walken.
him as a candidate this year over what.
I would have.
I would have voted for a pineapple and sunglasses.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yes.
But it's
yes.
like, hey, they did achieve something very amazing. Is they turned every district, that political district that a military base was in, blue for the first time ever. Like every single one. Like they were just like, oh, that guy. Well, I'm either gonna vote for Hillary, Gary Johnson, or Cthulhu.
I would rather vote for Cthulhu.
And he's like, it's like, make fun of the military. Do you like coups? That's how coups happen. Like, don't piss off the guys with tanks.
Yeah.
They'll get mad.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I can say that as a fine, time-honored, disgruntled war veteran. I'll just be like,
One thing that does amuse me though about the Trump thing, though, now that he's apparently he won the contest. It's like a bad essay contest or something. He just right here.
It's too much.
All these other Republicans that he just rip apart, just bad mouth down to the gutter, are all now like kissing his ass.
Well, of course they have to.
Like, oh,
They have to if they want their careers to continue.
oh, well, they
If they don't.
The remake of Planet of the Apes, that first one they did.
Right.
Not what is his name? The dude from Batman. Not that one. Tim Burton. Not that one. The more recent first one where Caesar has to like knock out the big giant ape to get his affection, and after that they're all like.
Right.
That's what I feel like. That's what like Trump did. He was like the big ape that came by and smack all the other apes that were falling apart, and now they're all like.
Exactly. He dominated. He's positioned himself as the alpha male.
Well, and that totally appealed to all of these people in America that are like, life and the way it turned out is not my fault at all. And this man talks out of his ass just like me, and I trust him.
We voted for that like rich guy at the end
So
of the
all those
bar.
people that have never voted before because everything's against them, they were like, yeah, we're gonna do it.
What's that disconnect?
And then we didn't poll them at all, so then they fucking did it, and
Right.
now here we are.
Well, it's that disconnect. It's the, and I hate to use the term, but I mean that's what it is. We'll be honest here. We're sitting in a bathroom. We'll get right down to the shit. The rednecks. It's the rednecks.
Yeah.
Rural America felt like they'd been ignored, that they'd been completely forgotten, and in a lot of respects they have.
So they picked the person that knows literally the least amount of what you're going through ever.
Well,
If you look at a guy
He's one
that
of
has
them. It's like
millions of dollars,
you're just like me, Donald Trump.
I say stupid things too. I like that guy.
you have
they're
millions of
also
dollars and
paid
live in
me
a high rise. You're just like me. I've got a fucking deer carcass in my backyard. But damn it, you're telling me the things I want to hear. It just drives me freaking insane.
It's like both parties took the opportunity to tell basically rural America and various parts of the country like we don't care about you, but it's like the Republicans have always given like the rural communities at least the reach around.
Right.
And so like what happens is this entire area of the country, they've watched their infrastructure go to shit because the Republicans have defunded everything that helps them.
Yep.
And then you have the problem where the Democrats will, when they finally passed Obamacare, they got all the good stuff with it, but they closed about something like a huge percentage of the hospitals in rural areas. So they're like, well, it doesn't matter who I vote for because it doesn't matter if I have health care. I already lost my leg to diabetes. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, and so they're like, fuck it. They're like, I'll see what this guy does. Might as well watch Rome burn like big, right? Like,
I like the big fire.
You got the big fire.
That's
Like,
right.
because like you've been fucked so bad, and like nobody cares. They're like, oh, the rednecks, I don't live out there. Like,
Right.
They'll just tie their trucks together with tie wire and they'll be good. Like,
Well, it seems like there's like a portion of the population that's like behind the evolution, like chain of events. Like a large percentage of us have like accept things like the whole like going back in like the 90s, being gay was like a big taboo thing, and when like Ellen did her thing on the show, it was like, oh, that was like a big topic. Now, like the majority of us are like,
wait, Ellen is gay?
Yeah.
Shit.
It's kind of like gotten a little bit more accepting of that, but there's like this big other chunk of the country that seems to be way behind any understanding that of how the species evolving.
Because those people are homeschooled and don't believe that dinosaurs exist.
Well, there's
They were
time
tests.
bubbles.
And I know that because part of my family are those people. Right. And then you look at me and you're like, what? And then growing up, like as a 12-year-old, I was like, what? That doesn't make sense.
Crazy talk.
He's like,
He's crazy.
This was a particularly hard election for me to watch for my family. Is like they're all Republicans, but they're not stupid.
Mhm.
They're like, yeah, climate change, really, everything like that. They're just like, I'm just a little more like politically conservative. And then this election, they just spent the entire election like Stan Smith and American Dad, just like. And they're like, my dad voted for a third party candidate, and he's been like voting Republican since like '68.
Yeah.
So like, it's like I voted for Nixon, and I can't do this shit.
Well, I mean, I was looking forward as a teenager, hitting 18 so I could vote, and I was a registered Republican, all the way up until Clinton's first term. I left the Republican Party and became a registered independent. I've been a registered independent ever since. Because the Republican Party that I believed in at that point, I mean, we're talking, in the middle 80s, the Republican Party that I believed in at that point doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's gone.
I always thought that, the Republicans their whole ideal was they were all about running the business, doing the business of running the country. That's what it was about. And yes, okay, there's some of that stigma that was always there where, of course, your industrialists and your big business is always going to flourish a little more under that kind of administration. But there was still that social component, and that went away. And these just absolutely incredibly far right-wing people began co-opting the party. And the reason I left the party, rather than kind of staying in and trying to fight, is the fact that there were far too many of the Republicans that just let it happen. Even if they didn't necessarily agree with what was going on, they towed that party line. They stayed the course, and that pissed me off. So I went out and I became an independent because I've always considered myself like, what I've always said, fiscally conservative, socially liberal. And I summed it up by saying, I want the government out of my wallet and my bedroom. And that's kind of, it's like, don't spend too much money, don't get crazy, but the country has enough money that we can provide a social safety net. There's definitely reform that should take place in the welfare programs and that social safety net because there's a lot of waste, and that can be fixed. That all needs to be reformed. But, the country's got enough money to provide that kind of stuff, if it's handled right. And, still have a good, solid national defense. Let's not go out and start wars, but let's be able to protect what's ours. And, and that's it. Leave your people to do what the hell your people want as long as they're not hurting anybody else. And it seems that the entire political core has lost sight of those kind of base values. It's
Absolutely.
like
Because
everybody.
the business of running the country has become a business.
Well, yes, and that's the problem. And
social components don't matter because it's all about money.
Right. That's the long-term problem.
Conglomerating corporations to work in your favor and lobbyists and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of focus put on Donald Trump for this election, and that is certainly scary. But the real thing that I think people also need to look at too is that 33 states out of our 50 now have Republican-controlled governorships, state houses.
Yep.
The Republicans now control the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Yep.
And what that does is that can give they're one state away from being able to call a constitutional convention to amend the Constitution,
right,
or to redraft. And that is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And the alt-right and and the different groups on the right, because it's very fragmented, swept these elections.
Right.
And it really speaks to the problem of that the parties have really become the caricatures of themselves, that they have become the stereotypes. We've yelled at each other for so long that we've owned the negative identities, that the Democrats have become an organization that is supposed to be for the poor people, but you can definitely see them wipe their hand on their shirt when they get done talking to a guy that just got working at a factory. And the Republicans are the guys that are like, I live in a wealthy neighborhood in the suburbs, but I wear a cowboy hat. I'm just like you. I'm like, no, you're not. And then you wonder why these people in extreme rural America are like, well, it doesn't matter who I vote for, and I don't have any faith in government, is because who the fuck is going to represent them? Is
Absolutely.
Freaking Boss Haas has got the Republican Party now. It's the wealthy guy that thinks he's country. He wears a country costume. He puts on a cowboy hat, and he thinks that him going hunting makes him part of that rural America, when he doesn't even understand what that actually means to rural people.
The Texans call that all hat, no cattle.
Right.
Your bushwhacker's cowboy. The guy that puts on his hat and boots and goes out and has a beer and thinks
I think hunting is a great allegory for it, because the Republican Party has no idea what actually matters to rural people. They just know that if they treat them better, they'll get their vote than the Democratic Party. And so you have these guys that are like, yeah, I go hunting just like you, but to them it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, shot a deer. And for the other guy, it's how he raises his kids and teaches them about life.
Right.
And they totally missed that, but the guy that's part of his way of life is now like, oh, well, at least he didn't say I was an asshole because I killed Bambi, so that's what these people have to choose for between voting. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. There's a huge disconnect.
I think, like I said about the evolution, I think politics itself needs to evolve itself from, they're stuck on the same one style way of picking the candidates and what their talking points and all that crap. Like the age like the Hillary Clinton style candidate, that just needs to go away because that totally did not work here.
Well, right. It's like it doesn't represent people, and I think the Democratic Party just was like, well, she's better and she's been with us for so long. It's like, but it's not 1999, and we've been through. It's like working Americans, we've been through some shit. And, it's like millennials come into the worst job market since the Great Depression. There's like the largest amount of veterans coming home since World War II. But you have all of these problems. You have jobs have returned, but your wages are more as stagnant as they've ever been. And then they're like, yeah, put 2 billionaires up and we'll see like how everybody feels. And it's definitely going to get people going. Like, it's ridiculous. And I mean, we're in Nebraska. We got Lex Luthor for our governor. So.
Oh, Pete Ricketts.
Yes, and now another Ricketts in the administration.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's it. He says he wanted to go to Washington and drain the swamp. Do you know what happens when you drain a swamp?
There's a bunch of shit at the bottom.
You end up with a bunch of angry, dried out alligators. And he saw those and gave them cabinet positions. I mean, it's just,
The pets.
oh my God. It's like, he says to these people on this list, what do you really hate? You hate schools. You really hated schools, huh? Have I got a job for you? Would you like to be Secretary of Education?
Now you're in charge of the school.
Yeah!
Oh, man.
We got this guy, the fucking EPA guy. He's suing the EPA! And he wants to make him...
He's like, we literally have 2 people in the administration that were on the board of Goldman Sachs when they took the houses from the people that voted for Trump. The dude that literally made the middle class people that voted for Trump lose their house not too long ago are now going to be the people in charge of if they ever get to own a house again.
Yep.
And they have to, of course, pass nomination, which I think is going to be pretty tough because I think the Senate Republicans who really kind of hit this election just kind of like, is like, they're going to have to pass those guys. And there's certain Republicans that I think that are just going to be pretty opposed to that. And the Democrats, well, you don't really need to say anything. Like, I think putting a Goldman Sachs representative, if they don't, into our government in key positions is... the Democrats are definitely not going to stand for that.
I wouldn't think so. I would hope not.
And he's like, and if they do, and I hope they don't misunderstand because they're like, white people didn't vote for us. It was like, well, yeah, no, they didn't, unfortunately. Fuck, god damn it. But that don't eat the red pill on that one and just be like, oh, fuck it. I guess that means I need to have get tribal tattoos. And say broed or people I don't know.
You started out so strong.
Yeah. He's but just how do you describe it? You're just like shit.
Yeah. I'll be over in the corner in a fetal position crying for half an hour. Let me know if I go over. Yeah.
Well, the big thing happened with the election this year, which people are debating whether this is a real thing or not. The Russian involvement. Comment on that.
Just last week, the CIA went before the Senate and said that they confirmed that there was conclusive links that the Russians had been pumping out information to influence our election. It's no longer up for debate. They have multiple intelligence agencies worldwide, including our own. Our military, the CIA. It's no longer a foregone conclusion. And we seem to have swallowed that pill too. I mean, because now Trump has announced that the former CEO of ExxonMobil, who has worked with Putin personally to help build their pipeline infrastructure, is now looking at a spot for Secretary of State. That's a real thing.
Well, Russia never went away. Here's the tinfoil moment of the show. Russia never went away. And we bought into, the line that we've been fed that we'd broken the Soviet Union. Well, yes, we did break the Soviet Union. Although we didn't really do it. communism broke the Soviet Union, but that's a whole other story.
Right.
But they never went away. I mean, there are still two world superpowers, us and Russia.
Right.
And it's been that way. The Cold War might have quote unquote ended, but yeah, that's the only other superpower.
Well, the only, Napoleon, that fine progressive gentleman, of course, with a great interest in human rights. He once said that like a soldier is strongest when,
Look it up, kids.
when a soldier is backed into a corner, he'll fight the hardest, and that's kind of where the Soviet Union is at. And they've realized,
Right.
based off how the United States performed against the Soviet Union, was in sphere of influence. It's like, hey, we won't take away all your shit. Well, not all of everybody's shit, but like,
Most of your shit. We're
most
gonna
of
take
your
away
shit.
most of your shit.
Well, the problem with that is they've got a lot to gain back, and they've got nothing to lose. And
Right.
so when you give a bunch of people, you enable some people that are trying to relive past glories. I mean, and they've been punished really harshly for being the Soviet Union, and then everything that was found out after it collapsed. So they've got nothing to lose. These are not in the same extreme, but this is the thing that happened with Germany after World War I.
Right. And, Putin, ex-head of KGB, decorated multiple times in service to his country, damn good at what he always did, and now he's in control of, the only other world superpower, and he doesn't like us much, and is not afraid to do it, but on top of that, he's savvy and business smart enough to know who he needs to work with and how he needs to work with. I mean, I'm not worried about, waking up and seeing nuclear missiles hitting off it.
No.
I'm not worried about that anymore. That's gone. What I'm worried about is the slow, gradual, and I hate to use the term, but I mean, takeover of the United States by the Russians, this whole Red Dawn thing, a peaceful takeover, it's entirely possible. They're going to get more and more immersed in our commerce, in our worldwide investments. You're going to find more and more threads of the web that are going to trace back to Russia. Again, the whole tinfoil hat here thing. I mean, it's not a conspiracy. I'm not thinking from the conspiracy theory thing. I'm just thinking just the global economic realities of what it takes to run a superpower. We're going to butt heads all along. I mean, we're going to be facing Russia at every turn in everything we try to do on a global scale. There's just no avoiding it, and that scares the hell out of me.
And with the exact thing with them meddling in our emails, not our emails, but in the emails of the Democratic Party and getting into our election, is that this is not only going to have effects in the United States. When we cozy up to Russia, Western Europe, this will cause nationalist movements in Western Europe to be on the rise, because these countries were able to live in a level of security because they know, hey, okay, if it's an attack one, it's an attack on all of us, and the United States has got our back. We got the big bully on the block as our friend, so that helps.
Yep.
And when that's no longer there, it's going to become really appealing and important for their national security to beef up their militaries,
Absolutely.
to have a stronger centralized government, to be able to compete against a country that has the economy of about Italy, but the weaponry of like the Soviet Union.
Yep.
And so like that's terrifying to them.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just it's kind of a you're talking about the the xenophobia, the fear of the outsider and everything, and it's endemic in that. That ties into the same thing with Brexit.
Well, yeah. Well,
They use that as the whole xenophobia and the worry about immigration and outsiders. That was a whole big part of what drove Britain to move into the Brexit territory and leave the EU.
I mean, I think it's a ridiculous thing that 20 years ago, the idea that the Russians could help influence an election in the United States, if you would have asked anybody in the world, friend or foe, they would have laughed you out of existence. And that's really the hallmark of this election and like this whole thing is that this is you would have laughed about this even
Yeah.
10 years ago. You would have been like, yeah, Donald Trump's going to run the country and Vladimir Putin's going to have a good hotline to the president.
Right, yeah.
Outside of the red phone, right?
Not gonna
Good job,
happen,
good job.
Not gonna
Right.
happen. Oops.
We're gonna,
Yeah,
it
here we
is-
are.
I mean, but then here we are. Our intelligence community is at odds with the president. That's
Yep.
absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I think a lot of it too is again, as things have been evolving here over the last years, technology has evolved, and email hacking and stuff like that isn't something that sits in the Cold War era
Right.
of possibilities. And I think to a certain sense, our politicians haven't taken account that. Yeah, this is something we should maybe start looking into protecting. The whole thing that got Hillary in trouble was not thinking and just, I'm going to use my own private email. What's the worst that can happen? And
It's
been
like,
hurt, yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's like you don't, it's like they've never heard of like an antivirus software before. It's like the people that are in control of our cybersecurity, which is really a part of the future of warfare.
Absolutely.
And like espionage. And they're just like, well, I had a private email server. It's not a big deal. Our secrets, whatever. You're going to throw someone in jail who purposely let them out, and that makes sense. You broke a law, whatever. and then you have somebody that's a Secretary of State that can do that. I mean, the failure, I think, of the Democratic Party to understand that, like, yeah, operational security is kind of important. If your enemies know exactly what you're going to do, they're just kind of like, oh, we should adjust for that. Shit, all right.
Well, I don't know, going back to, the Gulf War footage when on CNN, and Schwarzkopf would come on every night and do his briefing and talk about what, kind of the upcoming battles and what the upcoming plans were. And these reporters would say, and where exactly are you going to position the tanks? And he'd go, we're not going to reveal that information because it's, vital to the operation. Well, it's like that disconnect suddenly is no longer there. It's
Right.
Okay, we're going to park these tanks right over here, and we're going to do that. And then at 4:30 p.m., we're going to, fire the missiles. Well, it's that secrecy thing. It's like, excuse me, you know where everything's at.
I remember thinking that on 9/11, because every news station was like, President George W. Bush is going to be at Offutt Air Base
Exactly.
at this exact time, and every fucking CNN, MSNBC,
They all
everything.
reported it.
And I was like 15 at this time,
Right.
not super invested into the political everything.
Right.
And I was like, that's so dumb. You're telling everyone exactly where he's going to be.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't
The
worry.
internet was still a pretty big thing, even back in 2001.
You stand out on your front porch and go, honey, in case you lock yourself out, we have a key under the rock next to the steps.
I'm not going to be home until 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, and that new flat screen TV is still in the kitchen.
The children will be left unattended.
And it's like, yeah, the action, like Debbie
Rob
Wasserman
me.
Schultz is like, there's no reason to believe that the Russians have hacked Hillary Clinton or would hack any of these servers. There's no reason to believe that. And then, like, literally, like, a month later, they're like, it is believed that the Russians have hacked the files of the DNC. You're like, oh yeah, totally secure because you had your friend that was a programmer installed a private server into your, they'd never get in. If some 15-year-old can get into your emails and like, or some dude can get into Jennifer Lawrence's iPhone, you don't think that they can get into your private email server?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it wasn't a problem. He's like, well, yeah, it's a private email server, but you're using your Gmail account. So at least Google knows everything that you just put out.
Yeah. Well, it's a second level of encryption there. We're good.
We're good, yeah. I have strong faith in the
But a
product.
lot of Hillary's emails just showed her to be like a 60-plus-year-old woman.
Oh, yeah.
All of her
Yeah.
emails were
Oh,
like,
just-
will you please print this for me?
You open it
Can
up.
you type this up but bigger?
You open
And
it up
like,
and there's-
it was like Oprah videos, cat videos, like baby videos,
No.
recipes.
You open it up. There's 27 forwards on the subject line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
because
Okay, click.
Did you see this
click.
funny picture of John McCain with his kitten?
everything, it was like, please print but bigger.
Right.
Yeah, that
Will you
was a-
please print
right.
this for me? It was basically just like a technology inept woman. Being
Yeah.
like, can you make this bigger and paper so I can read it? Like, she's not really threatened by that. Obviously, I think that just feeds into how she didn't really think about it.
Right.
Because she was like,
email.
Well,
They said it's safe.
Yeah.
You know,
I really-
and that she
Yeah, I
doesn't.
don't think
She
there was
can't even
any-
print her own shit. Like obviously, she needs some. That would
Yeah.
be like my mother's email account. She's like, I don't even know how to get into my email. I have to tape
their de-
instructions on how she can watch a DVD on
Their-
the TV, which literally is what I've done.
their defense was really solid, though. Well, the Republicans did it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
did.
always both parties.
Yeah,
well, they did it. Well,
that's-
they did it.
It's like,
And
Well, how
Donald
about we
Trump
both
started
stop
all
doing
of that
it?
shit. Donald Trump started all of that shit.
Oh no, that's been going on long before this.
I
you know.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he definitely brought it to the forefront.
Oh,
'cause
you
he's
know,
a man-child.
there were huge things in those emails. And he's like, I believe she had a cat video with a calico and not a tabby.
And again, once he gets in there, he's going, hey, you know, we're not going to appoint a special prosecutor. Huh. One of the things you specifically told the people who voted for you you were going to do.
I mean,
You know,
We've
I was
had-
sitting on the street the other day just behind a guy that had a bumper sticker in the back, Hillary for Prison 2016. And it was a pickup truck, I will admit that. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm going, really? You know, I mean, this guy said that was the whole point, you know, that don't vote for Hillary because she's a crook. Crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary. And as soon as he gets wins the election, you know, I don't think we're going to appoint a special prosecutor to look into that. I'm not sure that that's an appropriate use of our time and resources.
And I just don't understand because he's literally like the definition of a crooked businessman.
Oh, yeah.
Once
No,
his
wait, no,
projects don't
wait a
start
minute.
to work out, he just abandons them.
Gina, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. Not crooked. He simply took advantage of
Oh, yeah.
the law.
He was,
Oh, really?
It's
he was
entirely
smart.
legal. Everything I've done is legal.
Doesn't
it's
mean
a
you're
loophole.
not a prick, though.
No, but that's not up for debate here.
You know what I love about that? With his, you know, his I'm smart defense, you know, this is all legal, I'm smart for
That'd be
taking
great
advantage
if
of
he
this.
actually was.
Someone who openly is bragging about taking advantage of tax laws because he had the loopholes available to him. Why would you give that man the keys to the castle to...
It's kind of like if somebody brags all the time about having a big dick, you can guarantee that they don't.
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
have you ever seen a BMW
So he has no
commercial?
strengths because all he's doing all the time is talking about how manly and in control he is. So he's obviously a fucking pansy.
No problem there. No
Yeah.
problem there, I can assure you. Yeah, it just kills me, you know. The guy, you know, like I say, he's like a snake oil salesman.
Right.
You know, tell you whatever you need to hear, you know, and I'll tell you,
and tell it
anybody,
to the lowest rung of people that will believe you.
Heroin
if
is an
you
amazing
really-
cough suppressant.
yeah, no doubt, if you really want to find the real Donald Trump, go get the book Boardwalk Empire. You know, the great HBO series was loosely based on this book, but it's a book that is basically covers 3 periods of Atlantic City, New Jersey, from the time it was created up to the 30s when Nucky Thompson, as you know, the HBO series took, it was in there. It was actually Nucky Johnson who's the real character, but you know, his time, and then the last third of the book is all about the Donald Trump era, and it is absolutely fascinating. Everything you need to know about the Donald, you're going to find in the last third of Boardwalk Empire, and it'll blow your mind. Absolutely blow your mind. That's all I got to say about that.
Good to know. Let's see. One of the other things that come out of this whole FUBAR of a mess that also applies to 2016 is apparently fake news is now a thing. A lot of sharing going. Do you think Facebook screw up this lesson by any chance with the spreading of?
I freaking
I think that what really came into a spotlight this year is how
Gullible?
we no longer, it's not even a matter of gullible, we don't read anything. We
Right.
don't
We read headlines.
internalize any
We read
actual
headlines.
information. Because as a person that researches things, which is something I do, I'm constantly telling people, like, that article's fake.
Right.
Like, please check your sources. And, like, the creation of fake news was because this guy was like, well, I wanted to show people how stupid Republicans are. But what you really did is just show all of us how fucking stupid we are.
Right.
Oh yeah, and
It's the age of technology. It's the
Right.
age of oversharing.
fake news is
we
the
don't
great
want
bipartisan piece of
Yeah.
2016.
we don't want any actual information. We just want fuel for our side of the fire.
Well, and you know, and it's a further issue. You know, Facebook becomes an echo chamber.
Right.
You know, because we like and associate with people on Facebook who have similar opinions or align with us, and that's the problem. You end up living in an echo chamber, and everybody that you see on there echoes your feelings, your sentiments, your beliefs, and the occasional individual who goes against that, then everybody in your echo chamber gangs up on, and that's where the vitriol comes from.
Oh, yeah.
But, we live in these little bubbles, more than anything else. The idea of social media is supposed to interconnect us all, and all that happens is we end up being more and more in our own little insulated spheres, It's like I loved seeing the posts that people would put up there. It says, I will not defriend you because of political beliefs or your statement here. We can rise above that. That's absolutely essential to being able to to keep social media from being just an echo chamber.
Right, and changing someone's mind takes a long time, and it takes a level of understanding that you don't agree with that person, and that you have to take time, and that you will begin to shape each other's ideas. And
Right.
people have this idea now, because we're in our echo chambers, that we can change someone's mind by belittling to them to the point of ridiculousness. And even people we agree with, if we misinterpret what they say, what happens online is so crazy. And I think fake news feeds a lot into that, because it starts out as we're going to show Republicans how dumb they are. But then you see liberals reposting these articles
Right.
to show, look how stupid the Republicans are, that this is happening. And you're like, that's not real. And we are conditioned to just look at the headline. And we don't even, people will repost things about their article. And as much as people are individually intelligent, the problem is that when you're bombarded with so much of that eventually it'll enter into your conscious.
Yeah, it just kind of soaks in like it's been after so long.
Yeah, and so after a while, even if you're that first news article is fake, you get bombarded with it, and after a few months you're like, oh man, no.
Maybe there is something to that crap.
Pizzagate, that's definitely a thing. And
Did that happen?
I mean, yes, absolutely. Hillary Clinton has children in a basement in a place
That's been going on for a long time. People are so easily the media. It's not social media, it's the media.
Right.
The satanic panic,
Yep.
fucking Islamophobia
Oh,
is
yeah.
all generated by unintelligent people that want to not expand their own boundaries, and by the media.
Yep.
The media created the satanic panic and then judged it when it got found out to be
Absolutely.
completely untrue. They
Yep.
were like, look at what these people are doing. People went to prison. How dare you?
Well,
It's the same thing
Absolutely.
it harkens
Absolutely.
to our trust. You knew Walter Cronkite was telling you stuff that at least you might not agree with his political views, but you knew if he said that something happened in Vietnam, you could objectively go, okay, it happened.
Yep.
Well, let's have a discussion about it.
Right.
And people have taken that level of trust still exists in our society. So when you're like, well, it's an actual newspaper. How could it actually be wrong? And we've kind of seen, there's echoes kind of our Gilded Age, because history really doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? Mark Twain said. And that's what you're seeing here is the early 1900s. The thing that whipped us into war with Spain was yellow journalism and this idea that you just spit shit out. And we've taken that and be like, what if we could get it instead of millions to billions of people? And if you have 300 million sane population, there's millions of people in this country that are not going to be able to differentiate from that. And that's just as statistically true. I mean, and if the people that know better don't do anything, then the people that are ridiculous are going to be the people that change things, because they're the ones actually doing something.
Right.
And fake news just makes that all the more clear. And it's the indifference of good people, like this entire election, and in our media cycle has just kind of killed us.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it seems like it's more up to the individual now to. Not only do you have to filter through the fake stuff on the internet, you gotta filter through the stuff that they're actually saying on the actual TV now, because
Right.
it's become so much more of a tabloid than actual journalism. It's become more homework for people, and I think there's a good percentage of people out there that don't like homework, and they just, all right, that's what's going on.
Yep.
On the flip side, I think there is some good stuff that has come out of social media. One of the good things that does seem to come out of this, issues seem to be coming to the forefront that aren't coming across on news. The whole Standing Rock thing, for example.
Right.
That is something that I would have no clue what that was if not for social media are actually saying something about it.
Right.
And then I had to look at it and start researching and start reading. Oh shit, this is an actual thing.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's
Well,
a.
it's just us continuing our complete and utter disrespect of indigenous people.
Yeah, I mean, how much farther can we, screw these
Push
people
them
over?
down. Well,
you know?
because it's the rates of indigenous people being murdered by police is very similar to African Americans.
Right.
And I'm happy that obviously people of color are being brought to the forefront because it's been happening
Right.
forever.
Oh, absolutely.
But like Native Americans are still being completely ignored on every front. Like we don't give a shit about you, your water, your lives. You're fine.
Exactly.
We gave you some of your land back after we murdered so many of you
Right.
and took it from you.
Well, it's it's like, oh, okay. We came in here, we took the land. It's okay. Well, you Native Americans, we're going to move you over here onto this plot of land. You can have this plot of land to live on. And oh, wait a minute. There's gold in that land.
We're gonna need that back.
Yeah, we're going to need that
Sorry,
back. So we're
okay.
going to move you over here, and we're going to put you here. And oh goodness, there's oil on that land. Oh, okay. I tell you what, we're going to put you in a place. They call it the Badlands. That's probably the best place for you. Move over here.
It's gonna be awesome.
Or Superstition Mountain. Let's push you over there. Yeah, there's no water. There's rocks, but plenty of rocks. You guys will be fine. You guys will be fine. So we just continue to take these.
And we're gonna make you walk there.
Yeah,
Right.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Well, it's like back on the fake news thing. The existence of fake news is, I think, what really hurt. Is one of the things that really hurt the Standing Rock kind of whole thing as a whole. Is because major media outlets are looking at this and then they're going, oh, well, which of this is just like hyperbolic fake news? Because the fake news is on the left and the right, and so you got people like, okay, we've got reports of this. Did we have any reporters there? No, because I think there was this notion going into it that this was a like fringe thing by like just kind of leftist college students and stuff, and so the fake news made it so there was a lack of interest, I think, by the major media outlets. And so they're like, well, this is just this, like X little underground news site said that this happened, but yeah, they reported 4 months ago something that never happened at all. It makes it tough for them to decide what story to go on, and I think it just made it that much more difficult for something that important in so many different ways to be covered, because even if you are on the opposite side of that Standing Rock issue, there was no way for you to get good news on it either. Mm-hmm. It's like, so it screwed everybody from every perspective, specifically on that issue. People on the getting information about like where the tribal lands were, like whether like where that pipeline was actually going before and after. Like people had such ridiculously wide, varying ideas of where that was, simply because there's so much fake news going around. Like, I don't know, like my friend from college posted this photo of some Native American guys. Is that a thing? Like,
Is that cosplay or I thought it's actual natives? Wait. A lot of celebrities died this year. Like a ridiculous amount.
All of the celebrities died.
Yes.
They're all gone. They're gone. All of them.
There's a few left.
All of them. They're all
Ozzy
gone.
Osbourne has 24/7 security around him at all times.
That's
just to make
good.
sure
That's
that
good.
He
Yeah.
doesn't drop necks.
Yeah.
I don't make a big thing about celebrities dying, but since like almost like you said, all of them dropped dead this year. Any celebrities that dropped on the floor this year that you thought was the worst one that went this year? Which was like
Bowie.
Bowie.
Yeah,
Gene
it's
Wilder was
sad.
dead.
Well, yeah, Gene Wilder. Of course, he hadn't been working much.
I thought he was already dead, so it was kind of like a double whammy.
Well, and Gilda Radner's been dead for so long.
Yeah.
Now they get to hang out again wherever they may be.
Well, if you read his biography the autobiography that he wrote about his time with Gilda, I don't think he'll be hanging out with her. Their relationship turned pretty bad pretty quickly. It was sad. It's sad to Gilda had a lot of problems. She had a lot of demons she was dealing with. So.
Yeah.
But he stuck with her as long as he could, and that was crazy situation. Yeah, Gene going was bad. Bowie, a man who, we're still probably 30 years away from really understanding what the hell he was doing in his music. I mean, he was always so far ahead of everybody else in what he was doing. And Prince.
Prince is that big one.
Prince is another one that just redefined what it was to be a musician. You know, I mean, it's real tough, you know, to, you know, move outside of that, you know, that 8 notes, man. I mean, that's, you know, you've only got those tools to work with. It's like having, you know, having 8 Legos to build with, you know, and you can only do so much. Well, Bowie and Prince were always pushing those envelopes and not, you know, not following anybody else's rules, you know, so they were constantly innovating music. And yes, it's sad to see them go. You know, and I mean, my God, you know, people who most people don't think of, and sadly I can't remember their names now, but you know, one of the founding members of Earth, Wind and Fire went. The piano player from Mott the Hoople died. You know,
yeah, a lot of them were musicians that dropped this year.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely incredible. You know, and these are people you don't think of their names, and most people don't know their names. And like I say, I'm kind of embarrassed that I don't remember them now. But you know, music in general took a huge hit. You know, covering from everything from, you know, the classic standards, the Great American Songbook. You know, Leonard Cohen gone. You know, all the way up to, you know, progressive stuff with you know, Prince and Bowie. I know there was another reasonably big hip hop rap guy. I'm not.
B.B. King.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Glenn Fry. You know, I mean, it's been.
There's so many dead celebrities. We're going to be saying celebrities that we thought died that are still alive.
Right.
Like, oh God, man. I'm so sorry, Mark Wahlberg. The Funky Bunch was great.
No, I'm still alive.
We
Tell your
always
mother.
love you. I'm making movies. Like, what the fuck?
Nobody's been watching your movies for a while.
I get it. You play a cop a lot.
He's not dead, just his career.
That's right.
It's,
That's absolutely
Gary
right.
Shanley, that's one that, I don't know why. That one hit me sad. I think it's just because he's one of those funny guys that I think gets overlooked as being a funny guy.
Well, you know,
he's always been there, but no one's like really putting a spotlight
if
on
we
him.
hadn't had Shandling, we never would have had Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he had that. You know, he was part of that whole, you know, archetype, that subset of comedy that kind of grew from the Borscht Belt and all the classic Jewish comics, you know, like Jackie Mason and, you know, all of those. It kind of developed. You know, you had Shandling, who was the precursor for what's his name, Paul Rudd. Oh God, he. Another New York Jew comic.
Your David?
I can't think of it. No, he was he played the King in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Mel Brooks.
Why, no, not Mel Brooks.
Remember we're still alive.
Why can't I
Wait,
think
it was
of it?
Friar Tuckman. I'm sorry.
Yes. Nip the tick. That was a hard sell. You know?
Circumcision, another thing that went
That's
in 2016.
God, I can't think of his name right now, but you know, they were those, you know, that offshoot, that kind of refined Woody Allen, you know, kind of developed that, and Gary Shandling had that,
Yes,
you know, and that was, you know, so like I say, that's you can follow that a direct line right down to Seinfeld and his style of comedy, you know. So if we hadn't had him, we certainly would not have had Seinfeld.
I think I was probably the only kid my age that actually watched the Gary Shandling show when that was.
I watched it. I didn't necessarily get it all the time, but I watched it.
I was
you know.
very young, but yes, I still was kind of, this is weird. I like this guy.
Well, I think it ran just before Bizarre with John Piner, and that's why I was there to watch John Piner. You know.
Bizarre. Wow, that goes back.
Yes, it does.
Let's see. There's a lot of crap that went down this year. I think probably one of the few good things that did come out this year was I don't even follow baseball, but the Chicago Cubs winning, it made Bill Murray happy, so it made me happy.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah,
That's good enough for me. If it made Bill happy,
yeah,
we're good there. We're good there.
Bill Murray shows up at random parties. He's great.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
I think that's who we all should like adore to be.
I think
Bill
he's
Murray.
doing that just to make up for the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou movie. And I'm so sorry for that movie. I'm going to stop in your party and make you feel better for a while.
I
He's
thought he
probably
was,
just to the point of old man where he feels like he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm Bill Murray and I'm fucking old now, so I'm just gonna show up to your wedding.
Most of his buddies are
What are
dead
you
now.
doing?
You know, I mean,
And they have been for a minute.
yeah. You know, I think Harold Ramis was the last one of his, you know, of his little inside group. You know, and when Harold went, Bill is unmoored now. You know?
he's like Kane from Kung Fu, but instead of like fighting crime, he just shows up and hey, I'm
Just
Bill Murray.
wanders the earth.
Look at probably another last thing here. I think one of the few positives that came out this year happened this past month. The video of the man pushing the kangaroo to save his dog. I'm all for it. I don't know what your thoughts are.
My favorite part of that video is the end, where after he punches the kangaroo literally looks at him like, what the fuck? And then the guy just looks back at him and he's like, yeah! And then he just runs.
Yeah, he's just
the guy...
Don't fight me more! I punched you in the face, I got my dog, we're gonna go. Because they both were just like side-eyeing each other. The kangaroo was like,
stay down! Stay down!
Yeah.
Stay down! You know?
that one moment of sizing each other up. You know?
I like the little boxing bounce the guy did when he got in there, and he just
yeah.
like runs up, punches, and is like, "All right, we're gonna keep doing this." No, okay, I'm out.
Well, the guy's an
Later.
elephant handler. That's
Yeah.
what he does for a living. He's an elephant handler. So that pussy kangaroo was nothing, you know. It's like, oh, you can't beat me to death with your trunk,
Well, like
you know. And so he just faces off, and you know.
You think everybody loves kangaroos till you talk to Australians, then they're like, "These fucking bastards."
Oh yeah, you know. It's them and the goddamn
And
drop
apparently
bears.
they say it in a Boston accent too, or something. Because the Boston accent really, it just kind of always, to me, sounded like an Australian accent with a stroke.
Yeah.
No offense to Bostonians.
With stroke.
Or stroke victims.
I love Dunkin' Donuts.
You call that a Boston lager? This is a Boston lager.
It's just Dunkin' coffee.
it's not even lager at all.
It's-
And why do you call these Boston baked beans?
They're not baked.
They're not even beans!
They're nuts. They're peanuts. Delicious candy-coated peanuts.
God, I want some right now.
They're really good.
Can we get anywhere around here?
And this is the
I
city
need to
that
get
gave our
catering for Potty
country.
Talk so we can have that. Alright, so 2016, we're about ready to wrap up the show here. I brought a roll of toilet paper with me, kids. I brought a pen here. What's the number one thing that happened this year that you want to flush down the toilet? Just go ahead and write it down. And we'll pass it around while we're doing that. What's the one potty word that would describe 2016? That could be metaphoric or literal.
I think I would have to say, fuck.
Fuck, okay.
You stole my answer.
I would have to say,
That might be it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Son of a
Is there a
a
word?
non-curse word would be, really?
Why?
Really?
Just a question mark just above.
This is an honest question. Is there a word for when you're like, ah?
I'm sure there's a German word for it, and it's probably about 47 letters long.
Oh man, I don't know if I know that one. And I don't know if we need any more people screaming angrily in German.
And Lisa Simpson says to Bart, how can I feel bad for you and hate you at the same time? I'm sure there's a German word for it.
Scheiße.
Scheiße.
Sign the toilet paper,
I think
sir.
my word for it would be mass
I'm
urination.
down.
Okay.
He wants to read what
I
everybody else
just want to make sure that I get to the next piece of toilet paper.
Oh, yes, because we have to be very precise
Oh,
on
yeah.
this show.
Exactly.
One pie.
Sam will fix it
Nothing
in
but-
post.
We got CGI toilet paper in and out. What the fuck?
That's right.
Was it just weird that that toilet paper did not look real?
Shaw.
This has been an hour-long conversation, and post it'll be like 5 minutes. It'll be just a flushing of the toilet. Okay, I already did
Now,
that.
do we have to?
So we got
Are we
one.
going to explain these, or are you just going to read them?
Just
off?
go ahead and say it. So we got Nazis, good
Yes.
choice. Ash versus
Yeah.
Kill Pablo. On
Killed off
Spoiler,
Pablo.
if you haven't
Yeah.
seen that yet.
Screw you! It was
Pablo-
3 weeks ago.
I don't have TV!
Well, then you're never going to see it anyway.
And I watch it with his roommate.
A
Yeah.
certain beloved character
La,
being
la, la,
killed
la, la.
on the
It's
Ash
too
versus
late
Evil
now.
Dead. And fake news.
Another celebrity down. Rest in peace, Pablo.
And
The Hefe needed him,
I'm
man.
going to go with Hombre because that poor monkey deserved better. So, Moose, if you'd like to do the honors,
I would love to do the honors.
this is the flushing of the worst for 2016.
Here we go. Poor Harambe. Oh, and there's all of ours. The Nazis, and Pablo, and fake
Let's
news.
flush that. Alright, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the Potty Talk 2016 year in review special edition here, the Craptacular. Let's thank our guests here, Gina, Kyle, Moose. I'm your host, Chicken Boy. Thank you for watching. And I gotta get my ass out of this sink because I'm pretty sure I'm stuck right now. Thanks for watching. Good night.